Welcome to episode 21 of Discover Ocala, presented by Showcase Properties of Central Florida. I'm Valerie Daly, your host for this podcast. In episode 21, we visit with Tod Wojciechowski, Director of Sales at Ocala Breeders Sales Co, also known as OBS. Let's learn more. Thank you, Tod, for coming in and joining me today to talk about a staple in our community. Many people know about it that are in the horse industry, but lots of people don't know. We're going to talk about Ocala Breeders Sales, also known as OBS. You have been there for several years now.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I have been the Director of Sales at OBS going on 14 years this year.
Been that long?
It has
Wow.
been. It's amazing. Time flies. Prior to that, I worked part-time for OBS inspecting horses. So I've been with OBS in some sort of capacity for about 20 years now.
And how long has OBS, the company, been here?
Late 70s was the inception of Ocala Breeders Sales, and it was the brainchild of a number of the farm owners here in Ocala to have a place locally that they could sell their horses and not have to necessarily travel to Kentucky to sell their horses. At the time, I think maybe Kentucky and then perhaps Saratoga were the only two places that really had thoroughbred auctions. Farm owners here in Marion County had wanted to try to come up with a local place to do that. So it was formed. It's a co-op of the horsemen in the area.
And only thoroughbreds are auctioned here?
We only sell thoroughbreds. There have been an occasional quarter horse sale. I think we actually maybe had a llama sale one time that weren't ran by us, that we leased the facility out. But that's been a long time ago. We are only thoroughbreds.
Okay. And how many sales a year?
So we have 5 sales. We have a January mix sale.
What's mixed mean to our audience?
Okay, sure. So the winter mix sale in January is basically everything. It is newly turned yearlings, mares in foal, mares ready to be bred, stallions, stallion prospects, racing prospects. We have a little bit of everything in the mix sale. Then the next sale on the calendar would be the March 2-year-old training sale. These are for 2-year-old thoroughbreds. The unique thing about the in-training sales, think of it as the NFL scouting combine for racehorses. All of the horses perform on the racetrack for the public to see and evaluate. So it's kind of like their 40-yard dash.
Okay. And that's called under Tack, right?
Right, the under Tack show. The horses aren't required to work or put in a time breeze. Many do, but it's not a requirement. The only requirement is that they perform in some way on the racetrack. So we have that sale in March. We have another 2-year-old training sale in April, which is probably our largest sale that we have. We'll catalog a little over 1,200 head of horses in that. Then we'll also have a 2-year-old training sale in June. Then the next sale for us will be the October yearling sale, and those are for yearling thoroughbreds.
Okay.
We have started into the online sales some. It's kind of in its infancy stages for us. We've gotten our feet wet, just trying to find the right spot in the marketplace for us, but we will continue to work on that.
Well, your upcoming sale is the March 2-year-old sale. When does it start?
We will breeze. The Under Tack show will be March 5th through the 8th, and we sell on the 11th through the 13th.
And about how many horses do you think will go through the...
About 800 head. We'll catalog 814 for the March sale.
And why are some in March, some in April, and then the last June? Why is that?
The 2-year-olds in the thoroughbred world, the 2-year-olds at this stage of the game are kind of like your teenage kids. Some mature quicker than others. So the March sale is for those that have come to hand a little quicker. They're a little more mature. The April sale is for horses that maybe needed a little more time. That extra month in between gives them a chance to really mature. And the June sale is for the gangly teenager that just needed a little more time to really grow into himself. Providing those 3 different sales gives horsemen an opportunity to sell the horse when he's ready.
Okay, great. Can anyone come and watch the breeze? Can anyone come and watch the auction? And how's that work?
Yeah, so it is open to the public. The Under Tack shows are open to the public. The sales themselves are open to the public. We frequently have a number of visitors that come through. And a gentleman that I worked for years ago made the comment when I took him to his first auction that he had never seen such large sums of money be traded so quickly than at the thoroughbred auction. So people, it's a spectacle to behold.
Yeah. So tell me about that. What type of money are you anticipating coming through the March sale?
Horses can range anywhere from 20 or 30,000 a head to over $1 million. The March sale used to be a selected sale where we would physically go inspect every horse and hand pick the horses for that sale. A few years ago, we opened it up and made it an open sale. So it really is a sale of something for everyone, regardless of the price bracket in which you're looking for horses. There's usually something there for you in both March, April, and June, all three sales.
Okay. I know that there are barns around the facility. How can people know where to go?
It's really kind of wide open. You know, there's obviously sidewalks and walkways that one can pay attention to, and just ask that people use a modicum of common sense when walking through. And if they see a horse, one thing about OBS or even being on a farm, horses have right of way. They always have right of way. So whether you're in a vehicle or a foot, horses always have the right of way. So make sure you yield to the horses.
At the barns, though, there are what are known as consigners. So talk a little bit about how a horse gets to OBS through the consigner, and then what's the role of the consigner, and then how it gets into the auction ring, and
Sure.
who the bid spotters are and things like that.
Consigner is just that. They are taking horses on consignment. Some of them they may own themselves. Some are owned by other people, and the consignor is acting as an agent for them. So those, consignors have business relationships with other people in the industry, develop a reputation for selling horses. They enter the horses with us, and the consignor acts as an agent for the original owner. They handle that horse on the sales grounds, bring it through the ring, offer it at auction. We handle the paperwork. The sales company itself is an agent as well. All we're doing is handling the transaction between the buyer and the seller.
Who can buy a horse?
Well, anyone can buy a horse. We want you to be an approved bidder, establish a relationship with us in our office. We've had some issues sometimes where people didn't do that, and it has become a great pain point for us. Yeah, most of the buyers that come in, they know to come in, visit with our finance department. We don't finance horses, but we want to know credit history, and we want to know that someone has the ability to pay for the horse they're about to buy.
Many years ago, ended up paying for one on a credit card. Don't do that very often, but that was, it got done that way. Yeah. You've got bid spotters, and talk about raising your hand, not raising your hand.
So we have quite an auction staff. Most of the fellows on our auction staff also work the Keeneland sale, but there are professional auctioneers and auction staff that work sales all over the world. They'll work car sales, they'll work other horse sales. Yeah, a lot of them are involved with Barrett Jackson. They sell all kinds of things. So they're very professional in what they do. The bid spotters help the auctioneer see bids in the crowd and elicit bids. The auctioneer basically runs the auction. So, he's in charge when he's up there. He sets the tempo, he sets the pace, he sets the bid amounts. So they do a very good job.
Mm-hmm. They do. But you do have to be careful about raising your hand.
Yeah, if you are visiting, you don't want to wave to somebody across the other side of the auditorium, because you might walk out of there owning a horse. Yeah. So you must be careful.
Talk a little bit too, but most of these horses have been what we know as vetted. What does that mean?
It's a very broad term. We urge buyers to make sure they do their due diligence, right? Mm-hmm. Ahead of time.
Much like purchasing a home.
Much like purchasing a home or an automobile or any large dollar purchase. You need to do your due diligence. Most of the horses, it's not a requirement by us, but most consignors do it anyway as a method of helping sell their horse. They'll have a repository study or a health study turned in on that horse in our repository. It's a medical repository for medical data on that horse. It will include radiographs. It may include endoscopic video of their airway, which is a big thing in our world, is that a horse needs to be able to breathe properly, and the function of their throat needs to work well, because they're obviously track athletes. And it may include a number of any other pieces of medical information that's pertinent to that horse. Buyer of a horse would maybe contract with a veterinarian. That veterinarian would look at that information in the medical repository. He may also do a physical exam. Certainly the buyer is also either themselves or they have a buying agent that is looking at those horses physically and helping them select the horses they're interested in bidding, on which to bid. So those horses typically get vetted by those buyers ahead of the sale.
Okay. How long does it take a horse to be auctioned off?
We auction about 30 an hour, so about 2 minutes a horse, depending on its popularity.
Right. Very good. Now, are there some horses that aren't sold?
Yes. Sometimes the sellers are allowed to turn a reserve in on their horses. If those horses don't meet that reserve, they will show up on our results page as such, as reserve not attained.
And those could be purchased.
Frequently are.
Okay.
Typical scenario, a horse goes through the ring and RNAs for a certain number. A buyer that was interested in that horse maybe got involved with another horse and didn't get that horse, and for whatever reason decides to circle back, can go to the consignor and say, hey, saw you didn't sell that horse. What is the price? And we have seen some that are there to buy for future event horses, some for polo horses, but by and large, it's mainly
to racing.
What
have I asked you that you thought I would ask you?
These are probably topics to even break out into other podcasts, but really OBS consists of 3 branches. The sales company, which was really the start of OBS. And then a few years after the sales kind of took off, OBS acquired a feed company. So we are also a feed mill here in town, and we mill regionally. We're not a national brand, but one thing that we are is we're an equine-only mill. So there's never an opportunity for cross-contamination between other species of feed. And frequently in other species, there's feed additives in those feeds that are poisonous to horses. One thing that we are is equine-only mill. We only mill horse feed. And chances are if you're feeding that bag tomorrow, it was milled today. So it's very fresh. And we've established a pretty good brand here regionally. We do ship some racetracks down south. We do send some over down into the Caribbean. But by and large, we're a regional brand. And then also we have the Intertrack Wagering in Ocala Bets, which is a poker room, which is actually located right alongside our racetrack. So if somebody comes to visit the Under Tack show, they can also jump in and play a hand of poker if they wish.
There you go.
Those are the 3 components of OBS, 3 pieces that make up OBS as a company.
Well, anybody's welcome to come and March. That's your next sale. How about some famous horses that have come through the sale?
Oh, geez. We've been very fortunate that we've had a number of champions, Eclipse champions. We've had a number of Kentucky Derby winners. Silver Charm, I believe. Well, Little E.T. was probably our first Derby winner. Silver Charm, another Derby winner. I'll have another Derby winner. So those are just to name a few. In recent times, we've had a number of, most recently, White Abario, who won the Pegasus in
just
a week ago.
Yeah.
So other than Lexington, Kentucky, Marion County is home to some of the best horsemen in the world. They do a fantastic job, and
we can train all year round here.
Plenty of training opportunities. What has made OBS successful since the beginning are the locals in our community that support it with horses to sell. They're the ones bringing the quality horses. So we've been very fortunate to be, it was started by horsemen, and it continues to be ran and fed by horsemen.
Yeah. It's a beautiful facility. I know it's been renovated over the last few years. It's gorgeous. There's places to eat as well when you go in there, and anyone is welcome to sit and watch. And,
we welcome visitors. You never know when a visitor is going to turn into a buyer.
That's right. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate you coming
in
pleasure. and speaking about OBS. Thanks to Todd for joining us today, and we look forward to being with you once again next month, right here on Discover Ocala, presented by Showcase Properties of Central Florida.
Discover Ocala is presented by Showcase Properties of Central Florida. As an independent brokerage firm for over 2 decades, Showcase Properties has helped customers throughout Central Florida achieve their real estate goals. Showcase Realtors offer expertise in a variety of property types and price points, and their services go beyond just buying and selling. Visit showcaseocala.com to connect with a dedicated local realtor and start your unique real estate journey today. We also want to thank you, the listener, for taking time to discover Ocala with us. We hope you enjoyed this month's episode. And if you did, please consider leaving us a review or rating wherever you're listening, or even telling a friend about us. If you have any questions on other organizations, individuals, or events you'd like to see covered in future episodes, you can get in touch with us directly at discoverocala@showcaseocala.com. See you next month.